In place that exists in other departments, and that we're prepared for any emergency.
Since Garcetti took office, the heads of major city departments have had to reapply for their jobs and convince him they are meeting key goals. So far, Port of Los Angeles head Geraldine Natz has announced she will retire, and now Cummings must do the same.
I want to thank him for his service. He's a good man. I've decided to take a different direction.
Garcetti also announced his interim fire chief at this news conference, James Featherstone, a former fire captain who now heads the city's emergency management department. Garcetti took few questions. He says he will set up a search committee to look into a replacement for the fire chief, and that the search will be on a local, state, and national level. Meanwhile, Chief Cummings has defended his department's performance in an online blog, saying LAFD employees and volunteers have risen to the challenges of increased workload, decreased funding, staff reductions, fewer apparatus, and aging equipment. You continue to provide world-class public safety, save lives, and protect property. I could not be more proud of what you accomplish each day. Chief Cummings will hand over the reins of the fire department on November 1st, but will stay on to ease the transition until February of next year. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The LA Fire Department is made up of about 3,500 employees. A ballot measure that would create a Los Angeles City Health Department is facing opposition from local leaders. They say such an office would waste city money and resources. But as Gil Reyes reports, the bill's sponsors say public health comes first.
The bill's sponsors say county health officials aren't doing their job. They point to recent outbreaks of syphilis and tuberculosis in city communities like Skid Row. So they want the city of LA to monitor its own communities with its own health department.
I think the city should be able to do a better job. I mean, this is not rocket science. Long Beach has its own health department. Okay, it doesn't cost more. Doesn't involve new taxes.
Michael Weinstein and his AIDS Healthcare Foundation are sponsoring a 2014 ballot measure that the city and county are trying to block in court. Local leaders say establishing a city health department would cost the city millions in annual fees, money it can't afford, and this could lead to cuts in city services like police.
It would have a financial impact on the city. It would not result in better public health delivery.
And the way the initiative is currently written, the city would only have 120 days after the election to set up the all-new department. Not enough time, city leaders say, to complete job descriptions, salary settings, and hirings. The AIDS Healthcare Foundation says any setup fees would be paid for by grants, not the city's general fund, and not additional taxes. The group is also considering a compromise on their deadline.
We've said, okay, if you think that 120 days is not enough time and it's going to take a year, that's fine. I don't think that annuls the whole purpose of this initiative.
Still, City Administrative Officer Miguel Santana says the city can't handle any more duties like immunizations and restaurant inspections.
With no experience, no positions, without the funding, without any of the contracts that the county currently manages.
Voters could ultimately decide in June. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The city disbanded its health department in 1964 and has since relied on the county for health and safety services. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors also officially opposes the initiative mandating the city of Los Angeles create its own health department. October is National Domestic Violence Month throughout the country. Rasha Goel has more on the message being spread here in Los Angeles.
According to national statistics, 1 in 4 women will be involved in domestic violence. 1 in 3 teens will be involved in dating violence. And 3 women a day die as a result of domestic violence. Here in Los Angeles, city leaders and law enforcement officials joined the LA City Domestic Violence Task Force to ensure residents understand the gravity of this type of violence.
There is more that we must do today. There is more that we must do tomorrow. There is more that we must do every day to address the crisis of domestic violence in this country.
We have seen the impact across ethnicity, across age, across gender, across income level, and each one of us have that mission. I hope that we will take this month seriously.
The stats are alarming. According to officials, 50% of the women and children who live on the streets are there as a result of domestic violence. And according to LAPD, the most frequented calls they receive are also related to domestic violence. Officials say the victims themselves and their friends and family need to recognize the signs of domestic violence, which can be emotional or physical, before the situation escalates into a call to police.
When you suspect something is going on, you don't have to go to the police. There are so many other resources available throughout the community, but do reach out and get an intervention, get help, because it will not get better.
If you're a friend or family and you don't know what to say, it's fine to call a hotline and talk to somebody about it, and they will help you be supportive to people you care about that you feel uncomfortable approaching, or if you know someone who's a victim.
City leaders hope awareness on the matter will help residents access resources and receive the help and support they need.
We recognize that we aren't any longer going to think of domestic violence in isolation from gang violence, in isolation from gun violence. These are deeply connected problems in our society. And as a city attorney, I pledge we're going to do better to be sure that none of these plagues continues to persist in our city.
In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
And at the school level, students are also learning about violence and bullying prevention. The LAPD kicked off Anti-Bullying Prevention Month at what appears to be a model campus. As Gil Reyes tells us, students there say no one is bullied, and conditions at school help keep it that way.
To cherish every living thing, to care for earth and sea and air.
Students on campus living in harmony. Have you ever been bullied at school?
No. Not at this school, but it does happen a lot at other schools, which I don't think is nice, really. Who wants to be bullied?
At this school, they talk a lot about diversity and how to be kind to one another.
Besides regular lectures on tolerance, Hollywood Schoolhouse is a small, independent campus. Administrators say this helps foster the feel of a close-knit community where violence and intimidation don't exist.
And I think if you talk to the children, one of the things you will hear is that they talk about our school as an extension of their family. And I think when you have those kind of connections just within the life of the school, the issues that I think larger schools often face just don't exist in the small school setting.
This playground is an area where you would think bullying might take place, but according to students here, it doesn't. That's because the anti-bullying message is not just part of the classroom instruction, it's also part of the school pledge.
Our job here at school is to learn. Hopefully you become lifelong learners. In that process, we will try to care very much for each other.
That pledge is also recited every Monday. The LAPD reinforces peace by urging students to speak up for themselves and others if and when they encounter bullies. Parents and teachers repeat that message, and this reinforcement appears to be working, not just here, but at other LA schools.
According to the Los Angeles Unified School District, the number or the reporting of bullying is down from previous years. So I've asked what was that attributed to, and they believe that the education.
If you don't want to be bullied, then don't bully other people.
Words to live by. In Hollywood, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Representatives from the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation also visited the students to talk about tolerance. Well, it's a healthy start to the school day, a walk to school. And during the recent inaugural National Walk to School Day, Anna Marcos takes us to one local school participating in the event aimed at promoting health and safety.
Nothing like a safe crosswalk on National Walk to School Day. On this day, parents and kids get extra protection as they walk to 74th Street Elementary School with a crossing guard and the company of Councilmember Bernard Parks. For community members, there are also sobering memories of recent accidents on their minds.
I know that we are having a safe walk to school day, which is really popular to me because there's a lot of people that have been hit by cars.
Councilmember Parks encourages parents to walk with their kids, and he warns drivers to slow down in neighborhood streets. Among recent accidents in Council District 8, a 10-year-old child was killed by a hit-and-run driver just 5 minutes from here. 2 days later, a 24-year-old woman was killed as well.
We're really clearly here for these kids that are surrounding me here and the parents to really talk about safety. We do not want to have another incident that we've had at least 3 in the last month of young people being hit by cars, and unfortunately 2 of them are deceased.
But organizers say there's a bright side to all this walking. It's actually good for you.
It really brings exercise to the children, and it's good for health. For me, too.
The message from organizers is that fun, health, and safety can all be part of a great start to the school day through the simple act of walking. Now, where is that apple for the teacher? I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Kids and organizers used the Department of Transportation's Safe Routes to School map to organize the walk. And just a few days before the inaugural Walk to School Day, Angelenos enjoyed a Sunday of walking, jogging, and biking at the car-free Ciclavia event downtown. Rasha Goel has more on the popular event's return to the heart of LA.
Thousands of Angelenos got out of their cars and onto their bikes for Ciclavia, an event with food, music, and activities that gave people a chance to enjoy 7.5 miles of city streets without any cars.
A great activity for families and just hang out and get your workout.
This Ciclavia was the 8th one to be held here in Los Angeles and was dubbed the Heart of LA because it returned downtown where it all began in 2010. Ciclavia aims to get Angelenos to abandon their vehicles for the day and rediscover their city on foot. At the same time, the event raises awareness about pollution and alternate modes of transportation. On this day, people rode in from all corners of the city.
We've come to several Ciclavias, but this is the first time we biked over from Westwood, and it was really nice.
This Ciclavia route connected the areas of MacArthur Park to the Mariachi Plaza in Boyle Heights, to Chinatown, and to the African American Firefighter Museum. Grand Park downtown served as the main hub. With Ciclavia events being so successful, officials hope to raise more funds to keep them going beyond Los Angeles.
We want to expand so people can experience it all over LA County. We've been doing it mostly in LA City, but we want to bring the Ciclavia love all over the place.
And from the looks of these colorful and creative rides and the smiles on these faces, the Ciclavia love is definitely in the air. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Officials say while Ciclavia is best known for being bike-friendly, it has become increasingly popular for those on foot. The event originated in Bogota, Colombia. And staying on the topic of walking, those who hike the trails at a park in San Pedro may not know what it took one man to get the trails there, and now that man has been posthumously honored with the dedication of the trail in his name. Ray Patricio was a former park advisory board and neighborhood council member, and by all accounts, an all-out community activist.
Ray was one of the driving forces behind the refurbishment of the stream and the trails in the canyon. And Ray also worked with Rec and Parks to bring a goat herd one year to clear vegetation.
And when it came to improvements at his beloved Peck Park in San Pedro, Ray Patricio was undeterred as he worked with the Department of Recreation and Parks and the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council in making the refurbishment of the trails a priority. The project was completed in May of 2011.
At that point in time, we on the council said, we want to name the trails after you, Ray. And Ray said, no. He was adamant. We pushed it. He was adamant. No. Then came the day of the ceremony to dedicate the new refurbished canyon. And Ray looked at me and he said, I wish I'd let you do it. So today I am so pleased to be here and see his wish fulfilled.
The Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council pushed to have the trails named in Patricio's honor after he passed away in August of 2012. Oftentimes, Patricio and parks officials butted heads, but the idea to rename the trails received the city's full support.
Ray and the city of Los Angeles didn't exactly see eye to eye all the time, as you well know, But there was a mutual understanding that in order for us to get things done, we had to work together. It's my honor to welcome you to the Ray Patricio Trails at Peg Park.
To the delight of those who knew Patricio, his son Jim Patricio affectionately channeled his father and what he would say if he were here today.
The first thing he'd say if he came here today was, "Where's the restroom at? They should have restrooms for everybody around this place." It's the first thing he'd say. Because that's all he would tell me, where can people go to the bathroom? How can those kids go down that canyon when there's no restroom for them? Gee, I don't believe it. But anyway, my dad would be very honored.
It's very meaningful for us because he put a lot of heart and soul into refurbishing, having the canyon refurbished, and he was very proud of it.
While Patricio may have been ambivalent about receiving recognition, his family and his beloved community are grateful for this lasting tribute. Peck Park is located at West Upland and Dunn Streets in San Pedro. The city celebrates the law enforcement community with an annual parade. An animal rights advocate receives accolades from city leaders. And beware of where you leave your gym bag. A gym thief is on the loose. These stories and more in City Beat. As he does every year, Councilmember Tom LaBonge hosted 10-4 Day on October 4th with a parade of vintage cars with the goal of honoring the women and men in uniform as well as those who portray them on screen. A special proclamation was presented to Tom Williams, the producer of the hit TV show Adam 12, a police drama that aired on NBC in the late 60s to the mid-70s.
We started with like maybe 10 or 15 cars. Eric Estrada came the first year, and by the fourth or fifth year we had like 30 cars, and the thing was out of control like you saw today.
This year, the 10th anniversary of 10-4 Day boasted close to 40 vintage cars, which descended upon Hollywood Boulevard, with a brief stop at the Walk of Fame star of Broderick Crawford, who starred in the 1950s television show Highway Patrol. Kathy Reardon was honored by the LA City Council recently for her service on the Los Angeles Animal Services Commission for more than 3 mayoral administrations. She left the department earlier this year. Her mother and father, former LA Mayor Richard Reardon, were on hand at the Van Nuys City Hall for the special occasion.
You've made our family proud. I have only one gripe, that you're much more popular in the Valley than I was.
We haven't had an activist so passionate about animals and animal rights and protecting those who can't protect themselves, quite frankly, and has done so much in the city of Los Angeles.
I will continue to do whatever I can for the department. My life has always been animals.
Kathy Reardon was the one who proposed the city's first spay-neuter ordinance, which charged pet owners who didn't fix their pets more for pet licenses. Detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department's West LA division need help identifying this man they say committed at least 8 thefts from Equinox Fitness and LA Fitness in the West LA, Van Nuys, and Hollywood areas. It is believed that the same suspect is responsible for all of these incidents. Anyone with information identifying the suspect is asked to contact LAPD West LA theft detective Tiffany Maston at 310-444-1565. It was covered in overgrown brush and unsightly weeds, but now an important intersection in Los Feliz has received a major facelift. Yana Kay has more.
The next time you drive by the Vermont Triangle, you'll notice that the median has undergone a transformation. What was once an overgrown jungle has now become a clean, wide-open space for all to enjoy.
Here we're today because people care. And that's the great thing about our neighborhood. People care.
Officials say the site, which sits between Prospect Avenue, Vermont Avenue, and Hollywood Boulevard, is an important part of the neighborhood because it serves as a gateway to Los Feliz and East Hollywood.
This is so beautiful, and it'll increase the use because it increases the visibility. People will be able to see. It'll make it easier for, public safety and the police to keep an eye on making this area safe.
City officials and organizations, including the East Hollywood Business Improvement District and local businesses, work together to revitalize the Pocket Park.
Our mission at the Medical Center and at Kaiser Permanente is to create healthy communities. That means the people that live here, feel physically and mentally healthy.
After a big cleanup, officials decided on a desert-scape design, bringing in decomposed granite and nearly 30 drought-tolerant plants. Now that the project is complete, the Hollywood Los Angeles beautification team will be maintaining the landscaping here. In the meantime, officials plan on rededicating and re-landscaping 4 more medians in the neighborhood. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
To open up the site even more, Councilmember LaBonge moved the existing taxi zone closer to the Vermont Sunset Metro station. In this week's list of things to do, an opera like nothing you've ever seen, a hike at Griffith Park, and the LA Zoo prepares for Halloween with Boo at the Zoo. It's an opera without a stage, and it's appropriately called Invisible Cities Opera. The stage and the set is the life of Union Station. This unique experience takes place Saturday, October 19th at 7 p.m. with other performances available throughout the month. Performers will be roaming Union Station downtown, and you, their audience members, surrounded by passengers and passers-by, wearing a state-of-the-art pair of Sennheiser wireless headphones, will be able to experience the opera happening all around you live. Union Station is located at 800 North Alameda Street. Go to InvisibleCitiesOpera.com to find out more about tickets and how to take part in this truly unique performance. Ranger Ernie Ibarra will be leading a hike on Saturday, October 19th at Griffith Park. Meet at 8 a.m. at the Griffith Park Ranger Station Visitor Center, located at 4730 Crystal Springs Drive. The hike will be 6 miles to Vista del Valle and will conclude at around noon. Remember to dress accordingly, wear hats, sunscreen, and bring water or snacks. And note that hikes are always canceled in the event of rain. For more information, you can email Ranger Ernie at ernie.ibarra@lacity.org. And with Halloween around the corner, the LA Zoo will be hosting its annual Boo at the Zoo event 2 weekends in a row, starting with Saturday, October 19th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The spooky but safe family festivities include jack-o'-lantern carving demonstrations, fun photo opportunities, and eerie crafts. Check out the creepy creature encounter at the Winnick Family Children's Zoo, then take in a live Halloween show in the Adventure Theater. And of course, trick or treat for candy as you roam the zoo. The zoo is located at 5333 Zoo Drive. All activities are free to GLAZA members and with paid zoo admission. Go to lazoo.org for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. Cat and dog lovers in Eagle Rock came together recently to promote pet adoption. Yana Kay takes us there.
This cute canine is looking for a loving family to take him home during the first ever Eagle Rock Adopt a Pet Day.
We came to support the Humane Society because we love animals and we've adopted animals ourselves, and you know, each animal deserves a home.
The event was organized by members of the Eagle Rock community who share a deep concern for the welfare of all animals.
I lost my dog one evening, and when I went to the animal shelter and I saw how many animals were there, I decided to try to help.
The event also raised awareness about how dog owners can keep their pets happy and healthy.
One of the main reasons that dogs have a problem, it can be discovered from the odor that comes out of their mouth. So we need to pay attention to the oral hygiene of the dog or other animals.
According to city officials, events like these have helped reduce the number of animals that are euthanized each year. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The Adopt a Pet Day was put on by the Los Angeles Police Department Northeast area and LA Councilmember Jose Huizar. It has served as a backdrop for many a weddings, the fountain at the Exposition Park Rose Garden, but it had to shut down to undergo some extensive work and is once again drawing locals and tourists to this popular garden. It's an urban oasis that attracts thousands of visitors a year, the Exposition Park Rose Garden. And part of the experience of visiting the popular garden is the garden's centerpiece, this fountain. After some infrastructure work to correct some operating issues, the fountain is being rededicated for all to enjoy once again.
There's also a tunnel here that leads to the center of of the fountain. The tunnel was refurbished too, the lighting, the piping, the surface. There's a new bench.
The $398,000 project also included a new waterproofing system, installation of new piping and nozzles, and the replacement of the concrete seating wall around the fountain. While this refurbishment is well-deserved, the fountain and the garden have faced some challenging times in the city's history.
It was threatened to close down during the Great Depression. It served as a green space during 2 Olympic Games, and even survived over the threat of turning it over to become a practice field, NFL practice field, I guess, during the days when the Coliseum was in play.
The Rose Garden officially opened to the public in 1928 and was considered the largest garden in the United States. In 1991, the garden was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. While the city of Los Angeles has managed the garden since the mid-50s, only in 2009 did it own the garden as a result of a land exchange. Today, the garden and its fountain still impress, serving as the backdrop for hundreds of weddings and photo shoots.
The Rose Garden has over 15,000 rose bushes of more than 100 varieties of roses.
And if you like to pay a visit, you better do so soon. The garden is closed to the public from January 1st to March 15th of each year for annual maintenance. The Exposition Rose Garden is located at 701 State Drive and is open daily from 9 a.m. to sunset. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
I got you something very special for our first anniversary. Now close your eyes. Surprise! It's an emergency preparedness kit. Isn't it great? It's got food, water, first aid kit, and this neat emergency tool for shutting off utilities. Honey, we are going to be prepared for any emergency. Honey? Sweetie, I have one more surprise. This really cool cranking flashlight.
Get the message? Be prepared.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Litchfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Fuentes, Weezer, Carres, Corcoran, Lamage, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Great. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Okay. Councilmember Buscaino is the first. Cedillo is the seconder.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay. Mr. Koretz is the first. Mr. Krikorian is the second.
Mr. President, there are requests to continue item 1A to October 30th and to receive and file 1B inasmuch as the property is an owner-occupied single-family dwelling.
Without objection, and that'll be the order.
Very good, sir. Items 2 through 8 are items noticed for public hearing. We do have cards on items 2 and 6.
Okay. We'll go ahead and hold those two items and vote on the rest. Do we have any specials from any members? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Great, thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Items 9 through 14 are items for which public hearings have been held. Education and Neighborhood Committee reports for items 9 and 10 will be circulated shortly and should be held on the desk until such time.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hold 9 and 10 as those are being circulated. Do we have cards on any of the other items?
Mr. President, we do have cards. However, all of these...
Those have been held. And seeing any members for specials on any of those items before us? Seeing none, if we can go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that'll be the order. Next item.
Mr. President, items 15 through 22 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, do we have cards on any of those items?
Yes, sir, we do. We have cards on items 18, 19, 21, and 22.
Okay, on the balance of those items, do we have any requests from council members? Seeing no speakers, no requests, we'll go ahead and open the roll on those remaining items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, thank you.
And, Mr. President, those ordinances will be carried over 1 week unless reconsidered later this meeting with 12 members.
Great. Will do. Thank you very much. With that, we've got one presentation we'd like to bring up.
Mr. President.
The closed session items. Mr. Krikorian, if you could address those two closed session items before us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Item 23 is a recommendation for settlement of a matter, and item 24 is also a recommendation for settlement of a matter that has already been tried to a jury verdict. These are straightforward matters that have been heard by the Budget and Finance Committee, and the Budget and Finance Committee recommends approval of the recommendations on both matters, which we can do in open session unless members have questions about those matters.
Okay, members, are there any questions on either of those items? Seeing none, public comment has already been satisfied, I believe, in committee.
Mr. President, if I may read those recommendations.
Please, thank you.
For item 23, in the case entitled Elizabeth Escalante versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $375,000 in settlement. And in item 24, in the case entitled Alan Harris versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $2.3 million in settlement.
Okay, seeing none, no objections. We'll go ahead and open the roll on both of those items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we'll go ahead with a presentation from Mr. Tom Labange.
Good morning, Mr. President and council members. It's great to be in the John Farrar Chambers. It's great to be in our city. And first, I see many of the people from the Department of Transportation here. I want to thank you for the great work they did last Sunday at AIDS Walk Los Angeles. Give yourselves a hand. We can't do it without you. And when they close all the streets down right there for West Hollywood cooperation, is so great. And the great walk, Mr. Koretz, through your district, Touch of Mind, AIDS Walk, so successful 2013. Then the night before, out there in Pasadena, great to see LADOT in a cooperative spirit working in contract with the city of Pasadena for traffic control in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, plus the game, and UCLA won. Give them another hand for that. But all that comes down to when you're out in the city, you meet great people. And this is Miss International right here from Japan. Miss International started 52 years ago in Long Beach, same time with Miss Universe, but she's the first awardee from Japan. And I want to say it, Aikumi Yoshimata. So good to see you, so much there. Her work is great. She came and supported AIDS Walk. And then we got to talk, and I said you should come to City Hall and see the Grand City Hall of Los Angeles as she learns more of Los Angeles and the important role. As you know, we're an Olympic city, and again, DOT was a champion in '84 in keeping LA moving and developing ADSAC. All these things are what Japan is going to lead to do, because in 2020, they're going to have the Olympic Games. Give Tokyo a hand for that. And Ikumi. Yes, Ikumi. And Ikumi was the leader and made presentations to the International Olympic Committee to get the award for Tokyo, which hosted the Games in '64. An outspoken activist for gender equality and women's issues in Japan, she currently is the Miss Universe title holder and scheduled to pass her crown coming up here in December 2013, just in a few short months. We're so happy you're in the City of Angels, and with that, I have three things for you. One, the certificate of welcome with the Grand Seal of the City of Los Angeles to welcome you, Aikumi, to our great city on behalf of the City Council. Two, a map of our sister cities, which include the wonderful great signs that DOT puts up at our sister city marker right here at First in Main. And Nagoya is our oldest and longest sister city. And lastly, the international map. We wish well for Brazil coming up in 2016 and Tokyo 2020, but we want it 2024 Los Angeles. All right. So,
all right, Mr. LaBonge, thank you very much.
I want to say a few words. And Aikumi, if you could just say a few words to the distinguished City Council.
So, and it's an honor to be here in Los Angeles and to be able to support your amazing culture of diversity, caring, and determination to overcome challenges. When I witnessed
the beauty of the city. What did you witness?
When I witnessed how your community embraces
diversity.
Embraces. So sorry, I'm so nervous and so happy to be here. So anyway, since I was 12 years old, I have 3 goals in my life. First, to represent my country on a global stage and win. Second, to give children to get opportunity to communicate with other kids abroad, to become student diplomats. And third, to someday to live here in Los Angeles. Yes, thank you. And by witnessing the AIDS Walk and meeting so many wonderful people here, including Councilman LaBonge, I know that the warmth of Los Angeles not only comes from the weather, it comes from the human climate. Thank you for welcoming me and supporting me.
All right, let's give a big round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stick around for a minute. Thank you, Miss International. Thank you so much. Give her another big hand.
All right.
Sit right down right there. Yesterday, Councilwoman Martinez, she did such a great job in organizing Latina awareness and heritage, and all the good what people do was so important. Today, it's so important we have Disability Mentoring Day. And Regina, please come up here now. Our General Manager of the Department of Disability, Regina Swain. Give her a big hand. Now, before you go, there's nothing like city employees and those who are engaged and love their job and do their work. And the one thing that Miss Universe spoke about is diversity. And one of the things that's great about our workforce is our diversity. And some of those have great challenges, but they don't let those challenges beat them. They contribute to the greatness of Los Angeles. So, Regina, give us a little background so everybody can know, including those out there in Channel 35 land, the importance of Disability Mentoring Day.
Thank you very much. Disability Mentoring Day is sponsored by the Department of Labor and the Association of People with Disabilities. Los Angeles has been the host for Disability Mentoring Day for the past 3 years. And it's a tribute to the employees of Los Angeles who take their time to mentor young people with disabilities who are interested in having careers in the workforce and having careers with the city of Los Angeles. It's a tribute to their dedication and the commitment of these young people who are determined that disabilities will not prevent them from doing anything they want to do. And I'd like to commend Tom LaBonge for his advocacy of the community of people with disabilities. He has been a friend to the Department on Disability. And I'd like to present this plaque to one of his staff who has worked tirelessly on his behalf and the people of the community of people with disabilities, Lisa Schechter, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of people with disabilities. Lisa Schechter.
Hey, you know what's so special about Lisa? Get out here, Lisa. Lisa went out because we always do this every year. She got a hand mic so we could introduce our special guest here. She's working all the time. Lisa, you've just been honored by the Department of Disability. Lisa Schechter.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Hold that up. Say something. Just say thank you.
Thank you.
Say it louder.
Thank you.
All right, good speech. All right, good job. Here we go. So, that was very special, Lisa. There's many people that are also so supportive that we want to salute for their work in sponsoring this today. And we want to call them out that the Olive Garden right here is a representative from Olive Garden here today. They're not here, Richard? Okay, I'm okay with that, Richard. Give Olive Garden a big hand for all they do. And Aeroport Services, they're not here, but give them a big hand. And give Walmart a big hand because they're very supportive of our Department of Disability. Are they here today? Yeah. So this is the commendation. And what is great, too, in our country and all our countries in the Western world and out throughout, we reach out, and this issue of disability is so important. And I know transportation is here today, but on corners in Los Angeles, public works workers from street services are making curb cuts so people in wheelchairs or with walkers can make it easier across the street. Let's give all those outside doing work for disability a big hand. So are we going to introduce some people, or what are we going to do? This is it. So I want to just take just one more minute, Mr. President, just for introductions of our great mentors.
We'll start your clock.
Say that? Start the clock.
Take your time. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Victoria Flores. I'm from East Los Angeles College. I'm a student, and I just want to thank you all for inviting me to this amazing assembly. Thank you.
Thank you. Go Huskies. Okay. Here we go, right here.
My name is Miguel Rivera. I'm with Department of Building and Safety, and I'm here, thankful to be here and witness everything that's going on today. Thank you.
All right, Miguel, big hand.
Oh, you can speak.
You speak.
Okay, my name is Achim Jung, and here's my mentee, Mr. Richard Crummett, who is a Master of Public Administration and hopes for a career in the city, and I will help him on his path.
You got it. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. What school? Nash. Good job. And who do we have here?
Hi, I'm Peggy Murphy. I'm a principal librarian with the Los Angeles Public Library, and I'm very happy to be here.
God, you know what my famous, I loved Mike Mulligan and his theme show. You got that on the shelf?
Yes, always for you.
Great. Oh, good. Very good. Let me just run over here real quick. Special Commissioner, just say hello.
Hi, and welcome to welcome to the city hall disability mentoring day. Thank you.
Commissioner Delatorre, thank you so much. Commissioner De Vera. And lastly, Richard. Get up here, Richard. Okay, how do we say welcome? Right like that. Everybody, welcome. Okay. So this is the day. Thank you, mentors. Thank you, department. Regina, close it out.
Thank you, everyone, for your support of the disability community to ensure that all programs and services are accessible to people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Regina. Good job. All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give another round of applause. Thank you, Tom LaBonge. We have 12 members present, so we'll go ahead and consider items 15, 16, and 17 for reconsideration, since they were ordinances, require 12 on the first reading. Go ahead and open the roll for reconsideration. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Right, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and take those items now, 15, 16, and 17, for those ordinances. Seeing no members on the queue, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, thank you very much. So the next items, we're going to go ahead and take public comment on 5 speaker cards representing the bulk and the majority of the folks in this room, 2 minutes each. And all the other public comment cards that were filed, we'll go ahead and note those for the record as well. The 2 other public comment cards from Arnold Sachs and John Walsh, we'll hold towards, we'll reopen, we'll keep public comment open and take those at the end of the meeting. And with that, if we could have, in this order, Jay, followed by Ken, Scott, Brian, and Michael. And if you could, before you start speaking, state your name, your first and last, and go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable council members. My name is Jay Kim. I've been with the Department of Transportation for 24 years. I am currently a principal transportation engineer in charge of development services. I'm here because I am concerned about the future of this department, as are many of my colleagues standing behind me. We represent a broad cross-section of the department, including senior managers, engineers, field crews, parking meter technicians, and support staff. Concerned DOT employees, could you please, oh, you guys are already standing up, okay, sorry. I think a huge part of leadership responsibilities includes uplifting employee morale and empowering employees to be their best. I need to alert you to the low morale situation at DOT. It is at an all-time low. In fact, it's unprecedented. Why should you be concerned? Because it is hurting your bottom line. Because low employee morale means less productivity, less innovation, compromised public safety, and diminished public services. When you couple low employee morale with staffing shortages on essential services, it is not sustainable. We have other speakers here today who will shed more light on this very issue. Thank you sincerely for this opportunity to share our concerns.
No, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, council members. My name is Pauline Chan. I'm the senior transportation engineer in LADOT.
I'm sorry, excuse me for one sec.
Yes.
That's okay that you're speaking, but we were instructed we were going to have 5 of the names that I called in. So Ken was next.
You're replacing Ken. I'm replacing Ken.
Even better. Fantastic. Thank you.
I have a little
Sorry,
more
Ken.
hair.
Pauline, yeah. Okay, go on. We're going to start your clock from the beginning as well. Sorry for that interruption.
As I was saying, I'm a senior transportation engineer with LADOT. I've been with LADOT for 28 years. I come here not to benefit my own personal interest. I come here because I'm concerned about the future of LADOT and all the young professionals and other employees in it. A few years ago, I wholeheartedly welcomed the LADOT leadership with hopes for modernizing and galvanizing the department around the needs of pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit, not just automobiles. I have done my utmost to support the new leadership, provide the greatest benefit of the doubt, but soon my enthusiasm became disappointment because of several reasons. Number one, instead of empowering LADOT professionals, we have been openly demoralized both in words and by the lack of management support. And thus, employee morale has never been worse or widespread in the last 28 years. Number two, LADOT's relationship with other key city agencies has deteriorated to the extent that I believe it hurts our key projects. Where there is still interagency cooperation, I believe it is due to the goodwill and professional camaraderie that had been long established by mid-level staff who haven't left yet. Number three, the lack of encouragement or almost avoidance of engaging communities and neighborhood councils is hurting our department's transparency, credibility, and therefore effectiveness in carrying out our projects. And last, we have seen our staff being placed in front of negative issues and outcomes in the public, even when it is as a result of ignoring staff's recommendations. I urge you to help steer LADOT toward a better future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Scott?
Greetings, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Scott Morrill. I'm the Signal Superintendent for the entire Department of Transportation. My city service is greater than 34 years, 32 at DOT. I oversee all aspects of traffic signal maintenance, repair, and construction of the city's 4,500 intersections. Today, I'll share some aspects of not only that, but the other side of the field operations, which is the paint and sign operation. We were able to deliver less than 1 hour ETA on site for TSR. That is now 2.5 hours. We were able to restripe streets in 10 days. That is now 30 days. This is because the groups have lost 1/3 of their staff. Additionally, the workload for both groups has dramatically increased. The focus has been on new installations to meet performance metrics promised by management. Almost half of our remaining employees are eligible to retire either today or in the next 12 months. The institutional knowledge of how to keep these systems operating, the experience to operate and maintain the complicated stripers, high-temperature thermoplastic melters, the crane trucks, the other specialized apparatus, all while working in active and dangerous traffic conditions goes too. Without the next generation of knowledgeable personnel hired and trained now, this results in a ticking time bomb which could lead to increased liability risk in the near future. The City of Los Angeles DOT has been long regarded as a top-notch organization that maintains one of the most complicated traffic signal systems in the world. The ATSEC system by itself carries a value of $500 million. Sort of like choosing not to change your car's oil or doing a tune-up and then being surprised when it breaks down on you on the freeway. What will happen to the world-class transportation system? Honorable council members, thank you for your valuable time.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Brian Gallagher. I'm a senior transportation engineer with the Department of Transportation. I worked for the department for 28 years. I currently supervise 3 district offices representing 8 council districts as well as the city attorney. In my district offices, we have 2,200 open requests right now that are expected to be handled by 11.5 engineers. And during the last year, I worked on litigation for the city attorney's office in cases combined over $100 million in claims against the city. In the district offices, key services are no longer provided. We don't do speed humps anymore, no neighborhood traffic management, No more blue curbs for disabled people. No more truck routes for big trucking companies that need to get goods different places. The response times are increasing along with the customer expectations. In 2010, the average time to get a request completed in a district office was about 1.5 months. Today, it's up to 4.8 months. And in our Western District office, if you turn in a request for service today, the average time to get it completed is about 8 months. We've eliminated upper management positions and institutional knowledge, and this has resulted in a segmented department that is dysfunctional and confused. There are conflicting policies and goals, and resources are not coordinated. Oftentimes, work falls through the cracks, or we end up going out to the same location to do 2 different projects within a month of each other with 2 different sets of goals. There's no redundancy in our district offices due to the lack of staffing. And on days when people are sick or in vacation or have to go downtown to a meeting, we have to close down our district offices because there's nobody left. In 2 of my 3 offices, we have people to answer the phones only 2 days a week due to the elimination of clerical positions.
I don't want to cut you off, but if I've got to watch the clock, otherwise we've got to extend the same time than everybody else, and then all the other speakers on all the other items as well. And so if you do have prepared statements that you didn't get through, and if you could submit those for the record as well, that would be great.
Okay.
But I want to thank you again. I know we have another speaker, but if you want to finish up your thought, that'd be.
I just think that it's in the time where we're trying to focus on back to the basics and increase services, it's very tough when staff is being eliminated and demoralized at the same time. And I'm here today just to let you know that the emperor has no clothes.
Thank you. Good morning. Michael?
Good morning. My name is Michael Hunt. I'm a transportation engineer, and I've been with the City of Los Angeles for over 22 years. I'm here as a proud SEIU union steward. I want you to hear from your rank and file, however, there's hundreds of them here today, so I'm going to speak on their behalf. I'm going to cut to the quick because I think it's important to get to the point. The rank and file has lost confidence in our general manager. He doesn't listen to us. He ridicules us at every chance that he can, every chance he gets. He places blame on us for doing our job and implementing the policies that he's put forth. Ultimately, he's lost our trust, and in turn, our support. The rank and file employees are not just engineers. Take a good look at this crowd. You have traffic paint and sign. You have meter repair. You have accountants. You have draftsmen. You have a bunch of people here. It's a cross-section of this department. We feel this council deserves to have a Department of Transportation to provide you with guidance, not just a bunch of yes men. We used to be the Department of No. We didn't like that any more than you did. Now we're the Department of Anything Goes, regardless of safety, how much it costs, or the impacts. There's a happy medium. We want to provide that to you. We need your help. Mayor Garcetti, I hope you're listening. We want to support you. We love your visions for the city. We want to help you to implement those. Your executive directive number 1, Great Streets Initiative, let's make that happen. The City of Los Angeles is the best in the world. Let's make this happen. Work with us. Come talk to us. We want to help you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I want to share with you that we don't have the opportunity in general public comment to have a dialogue. The rules and the laws don't provide for that. However, since there are so many of you here, I think it's appropriate to ask the chairman of the committee just to say a few words, not in response, but just a few.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Dion, I will be very careful, and I promise not to give you a heart attack. Thank you all for being here today. I'm rising as chair of the Transportation Committee. And I need to be very careful about what I say because, as Dion will remind me, he has electrical shocks attached to me. I'm not allowed to respond to anything you just said. But I do want to acknowledge that you have been heard today. I want to acknowledge that your voices have been brought into this chamber and everyone around this horseshoe listened to them very intently. That this is not our chamber, this is your chamber. And we're glad to hear your voices. I have spent some time with DOT employees since taking office. I was out in Westchester just a few weeks ago installing a Continental crosswalk and restriping some lanes, talking with employees. I'm very grateful that in the immediate aftermath of the horrible incident in Venice, DOT staff was right out there installing signage and putting bollards and blockades in to make sure that we were protecting public safety. Extremely proud of the work that you did and very appreciative of it. I just want to say that I will continue to do that, and I'll be going out in the next few weeks to hear more directly from you in different workplaces to make sure that we're hearing your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all again. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, and Mike, thanks for those comments. Okay, we'll go ahead and recess the current meeting at this point and open the special meeting. We have a request from
Mr. President, before doing so, we should first call the roll.
Oh, please, if you could take the roll again.
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corcoran, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson, 12 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe we have a request from Mr. Koretz to continue that item until Friday. Without objection, that'll be the order to continue it to this Friday.
And then, very good, sir. Do you wish to adjourn the special and
yes,
return
we'll go
to
ahead
the regular?
And adjourn, and we'll go ahead and adjourn the special and go ahead and open the regular agenda again. You need to take roll again?
No, sir.
I think nobody's moved. Okay. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take items 9 and 10 together. I believe those have already been circulated, but Mr. Parks would like to speak on items 9 and 10.
Issues on it. Yes, I'd like to have the commissioners come up at this time.
Okay, if we can go ahead and have the commissioners come up and sit at the table here. And Mr. Labange, can you come up here for a moment? After you escort them, of course. And then give them a tour.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to two commissioners that have been nominated by the mayor, Ms. Linda Grant and Ms. Olivia Rubio. They came before committee yesterday, but I'd like for them to give their information and background and what their goals are, particularly on such an important commission as the Neighborhood Empowerment Commission. So go for it and ask Ms. Grant to start off.
First of all, I'm very honored to be nominated for this position. And I have probably about 15 years of public service helping our communities. I started out as an education advocate, helping parents across the city. I've worked on some of the issues related to the schools with the city, such as the change of the municipal code 4504 with former Councilmember Cardenas' office. I've worked on legislation in Sacramento where I've actually worked with some of you up there. And I joined my neighborhood council about 7 years ago, and I've been very involved in the neighborhood council process, and I do some of the citywide things with the neighborhood councils, such as I'm on the Congress Planning Committee, which we just recently had our Congress, and the neighborhood council system to me is basically in its infancy, because the pinnacles that it can reach are going to be amazing, and outreach and getting people involved is so important. Thank you.
Hello, honorable council members. Yes, Councilmember Parks, did you have a comment?
Okay. Okay. Well, my name is Olivia Rubio. I'm grateful for your consideration for commissioner, and I've always been involved in my community. However, it wasn't long ago that I realized that serving in the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council would be the best way to serve in my community. And this is a very unique opportunity since essentially neighborhood councils are designed to promote civic engagement and a responsive government. And that is what I myself perceive as authentic civic engagement and empowerment of constituents. And amongst my goals as a commissioner is enhancing this capacity building as far as leadership skills for local leaders to be well equipped to reach out to their council members and address what are the pertinent issues to their communities, and also enhance the camaraderie amongst board members to work cohesively. And another thing is outreach. To have an effective board, you need to engage the community. And that's another one of my core goals as a commissioner. And I'm forever grateful for your consideration for this position.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Colleagues, these two commissioners came before the committee yesterday, and we unanimously and strongly support them to be part of the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. And we think they're probably some of the most qualified because of their background that we've had in the recent past. So I'd ask for an aye vote.
And they're going to get an aye vote, but we want to hear what are some of your favorite parts of Los Angeles. Both of you could state your favorite neighborhoods, not including your home neighborhood.
No, I am biased. I've traveled the world, I've traveled the country, and I love LA. It is home in every way, from Hollywood to Silver Lake to Tahunga. Boyle Heights has amazing restaurants. That's the beauty of LA, it's diversity. And wide selection on ethnic foods, which is my favorite.
Very good.
I was born and raised here in LA, and to me, LA is my home as a whole. And I luckily got to spend the last several years basically touring the city, and I have found so many incredible nooks and crannies from Chinatown to San Pedro to just all over the city. I spent a lot of time in the black communities helping with children and education, and like I said, I couldn't pick a favorite part because all of it is very exciting.
You know what Randy Newman said?
I love LA.
Very good. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right.
And Mr. President, for clarification, those were the Education Neighborhood Committee reports that have been adopted.
Got it. Arnold Sachs, we're going to go public comment right now. John Walsh and Juan Acala. Here we go, Arnold. John. General public comment.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. You know, I think it was 2 meetings ago, you had a couple young people come in and make a presentation to the council on their public comment regarding bike lanes and Echo Park and Hyperion Lane, and a discussion regarding how they were concerned about bike lane improvements. And even in this newspaper from today's Metro, there's somebody from the USC Bike and Transit Law Society talking about bike lanes. What it really does is it brings up a point about being educated on where your money goes, because evidently they're not really aware of what is the responsibility of Measure R and how that funding is allocated by the city and the city council. Measure R consists of a part called 15% local return, and that's money that comes back to the city that's supposed to be spent on transit projects, sidewalks, street repair, access services, community improvements. And then there's another part called Metro 3% local match. And that's money that Metro gets on top of the sales tax. And so what the city council has done is take their 15% local return for street repair and use it to pay their 3% local match. Now, if you don't understand what that is, think of this. You go to a grocery store, you spend $1,000 on food, and you pay, and you're ready to leave, and they say, well, by the way, you have to spend 3% more to leave the store. And you're like, well, I just spent $1,000. Yeah, well, we're going to charge you 3% on top of that. And if you don't have that money, we'll lend it to you with interest.
All right, Mr.
There
Sachs.
goes your money
Have
for
a good
streets and
afternoon.
sidewalks.
Mr. Walsh, please.
John Walsh, blogging at Hollywood Highlands, HIGHLANDS.org, or go to J. Walsh Confidential, now in full 4G. Remember, they are giving you a long shot because they don't want you to see what I'm wearing. Okay, let's start with the Stay Away from LA, the worldwide tourist SOS that I began yesterday. Got enormous, enormous web traffic. If you are a Jew and you live on the planet Earth, remember, when you come here, they killed a Holocaust victim and they haven't even apologized or held a tribute for Leon Preport. They're all anti-Semites. 2 of them are Capo Jews. Now, I want to present something that I've never talked about before here. You saw this place was full of people. Take a look at this. Here we have these filthy cushions, back cushions and seat cushions. These cushions that the public must sit on, I have received several emails, are vermin infested. Those people who came here may have picked up bed bugs and they may have picked up lice. You do not clean these things. This whole building, you've cut your bug-killing exterminator budget. This whole building is full of insects. Now, the city, the press won't report this. I ask any of you, if you disagree, come and sit on these lice-infested cushions. Not a one of you ever sits on here. You all sit up there on leather. And I'm telling you right now, don't come to LA to the city council because it is infested with lice in their cushions. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Akala.
Yes, they are filthy. It's filthy under them. But that's not my issue. Well, it's one of the issues. My main issue is I slept with another homeless woman last night. I did not touch her, but I'll tell you why I did, because she says, I need protection. I don't have a place to go.
I want you to speak to the issues of the city as you so care about homelessness. Hold this time. Keep it on that. Don't talk about personal nighttime activity.
No. Listen. I'm telling you, it's horrible out there. These women are afraid to sleep anywhere because they get accosted all the time by, if it isn't by other homeless people, it is by, it's by people like you, by everybody. And they need a place to sleep, and they usually try to find a companion. And I have not had sex with any of these women. I just provided a little bit of body warmth and some blankets that I have stashed away in the bushes. See, I know how to do homelessness. You don't. I'd like to see a huge earthquake hit the city and all of you go homeless. You're going to be begging everybody for a morsel of food. And you know who drives people homeless? City Hall. You have policies that are not allowing anybody to afford anything. You want to keep a bunch of slaves out there for no reason. There's no reason for the people that pay taxes to be your slaves. So City Hall, you are to blame for all the crime that is committing against people that don't have shelter. you are to blame.
Yeah, all right. Jeffrey Allen. Pronounce your last name correctly.
Solomon, like
Solomon.
in the Bible. My name is Jeffrey Allen Solomon since March 15th, 1943. I live in Venus Beach. I've been there since 1974. I got lucky in Las Vegas and bought a condo. The people that I work for currently is a window between worlds. They do not pay me anything, but a window between worlds goes to different parts of the city and finds women that are and their children that are being battered, gets them out of their environment, and then they get them into art. And the way they were doing this is because the city did honor her and her friend. They honored her for going across the city, the state, and then the city, and and then the country, and getting art supplies donated. When she came back 23 years ago, she opened this up. And now, with women, they take them from one side of the brain to the other where art is. Art heals the brain. Takes a little while. Then they find a way and get them excellent clothes. Then they get them a job. And then they get them an apartment. Now think about that. That's not homelessness. Okay? That's saving people. Now, Jimmy Carter, with his Habitat for Humanity, is helping soldiers who come back broken. But they will not get a home unless they take these art classes from the women that have been survived by taking this art. Now let's put it all together. We got soldiers that are protecting our lives. They're coming back with, what is that, PSTD or whatever, RSMFT, whatever it's called. They're coming back and they're being saved by women that have been abused and their children that have been abused. Now the art that they create is put into the home, into the walls of the home they get.
That completes your comment.
I'm so sorry.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Public comment is completed for the day. Mr. Clerk, what items before us?
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 2, called Special for Cards.
Arnold Sachs, Juan Alcala, please know the subject and address us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again, Arnold Sachs. And it's a fascinating bit of trivia, actually. Items 2 through 8 are actually hearing protests regarding the proposed improvement and maintenance of lighting districts. What's fascinating about that? Well, items 15 through 17 are hearing dates, and I'm sure that items 2 through 8 had hearing dates set, but the hearing dates refer only to the maintenance of lighting districts. So it's the language of the ordinance and the language that's appearing on your agendas, because you go from maintenance hearing dates for lighting districts to improvement and maintenance of lighting districts. And what's the difference there? Well, improvements refer to property improvements, which refer to a different assessment than the lighting district assessment in and of itself. And what does that entail? Well, that entails part of Prop 13. And you get these big corporations that have land use waivers because they don't get 50% ownership. Whereas a single house owner property, or even a duplex owner, they don't get those waivers unless they're corporations and they can show less than 50% ownership. So when you get these notices for hearing dates, and you get these notices for hearing dates and maintenance fees, you should actually pay attention, because it is, after all, your money. And not only do they dip into your pocket once, but they end up dipping into your pocket twice. One for the maintenance of the lighting district, and one for the improvement of the housing district and the housing area. It's a very good scam. Brought to you by City Council.
Mr. Alcala, you're next.
I pass.
Pass. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. So ordered. Next item.
Item number 6, called Special for Cards.
Mr. Alcala. Mr. Walsh. Thank you, Mr. Alcala. Mr. Alcala passes. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. For identification purposes, only member of the Stay Away from LA Tourist Committee. Incidentally, I've been to other cities. Remember, I don't get up here and criticize you on every damn thing. You know, if I don't know what I'm talking about, you know immediately, and so do those people. The lighting in LA is better than in most cities, okay? It is. I've been in many cities in America, and the lighting here is not as good as New York, but it's very good. This concerns Darby Avenue and Kittredge. There were some protests. I don't see any of the protesters here now. There was balloting. We'll see what happens. And remember, take very seriously the opinions of people who've lived here since 1976, not the people who get up here who've never lived in L.A. in their entire lives. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, that completes the comment cards on that. Let's know on the queue. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. Next item.
Item 18, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Alcala.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. I hope everyone's following along with their agenda. Number 18 again is REAP. Here, the city of Los Angeles does a better job than almost any city in America. As far as, remember, the number of rogue landlords is very small, but if you have a rogue landlord, it doesn't matter whether 99.9% of the landlords are honest. And you catch them all. And notice most of the neighborhoods where the rogue landlords are minority landlords because they don't tolerate this west of La Brea. Remember, we live in two cities. East of La Brea, that's the minority city. West of La Brea, that's the white-only city. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Next speaker, please.
On this issue, I believe we can end this whole problem by creating a society where we don't have landlords and tenants to begin with. So it's very simple to fix the problem simply by changing the laws to where everybody has a place to live without some idiot setting the laws as to what you can do and cannot.
Talking about the REAP.
And one of the biggest idiots is City Council, of course.
All right, that completes the speaker's card. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item.
Item 19, called special for cards.
Mr. Alcala, you have a thought on this? Your turn.
Yes, it deals with real estate, so the city and the banks have really no business in real estate.
This has nothing to do with real estate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alcala. Appreciate it. Mr. Sachs, as well as Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh. Mr. Sachs. Pass on Mr. Sachs. Mr. Walsh.
Okay. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Take a look at this. This concerns a minor amount of money, $10,000, for a forensic DNA backlog reduction program. That's a good idea. But you know what they mean by forensic DNA backlog reduction? That means that the city and the county let thousands and thousands of rape victims down. They took the DNA and then they just sat there for years and years until the press and most of those reporters aren't like the lazy-ass reporters we have over here at City Hall. We had a major story about this, and when the major story appeared, all of a sudden they started jumping. And incidentally, the most likely place to be raped is within a mile radius of the Hollywood and Vine. HollywoodHighlands.org. Approve it.
No other speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item.
Item 21, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh, 21. Mr. Sachs, 21. Come on up, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Al-Qaeda, 21.
Okay, this is 21. This is from the public, John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This is the Real Estate Fraud Prosecution Program Grant Award for use by the LAPD's Real Estate Fraud Unit. I think maybe if we stopped all these arresting minorities for drugs, for possession, and spent the money on real estate fraud. I mean, let me tell you, Los Angeles is the capital of real estate fraud. And we should use some of this real estate fraud money to spend on the unsolved arson. Of course, remember, arson is the mother's milk of real estate fraud. Burn it down and collect it. 100% in favor of this motion. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Juan, you go right now because Mr. Sachs is in the back of the room. Mr. Sachs, you're next. Move closer if you'd like.
Once again, you have real estate fraud because we have greed. And what makes us greedy is the way we run real estate. If everybody has a place that is not worth any money, there is no reason to create fraud. And that's what I'm talking about in my book, The United World of Free and Clear. Let's create a system where we have basic real estate that's worth no money and have the parallel system where we live in, where if you become wealthy, you can go build your castle. And we won't have all this fraud, all this landlord-tenant, all these real estate rip-offs. We don't need all that. We can create a better society.
Mr. Sachs.
Well, yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. And what a coinkydink. Yesterday, when I kind of discussed a little bit about how we have 5 members, new elected members, who had voted for the gold line. Remember, we talked about Carnac, the Magnificent? Well, here you are. Senate Bill 659 was voted on 7/14/11. Assembly Bill 706 was voted on October 7, 2011. And both were allowing the language to be changed for the Gold Line Construction Authority. And what do you know? The Gold Line Construction Authority...
Mr. President, he is not talking about this item.
Thank you for your help. Then talk about the item, Mr. Sachs.
The Gold Line Construction Authority has a grant deed. And you're talking about real estate fraud. And having a deed is the first step in real estate fraud. Yet the Gold Line Construction Authority deed was granted in 2007. That's 4 years before you voted to enable the Gold Line Construction Authority.
Mr. President, he is still stretching
you're by
this
order of the city attorney.
agenda.
Mr. Sachs, say to the subject, please.
Talking about real estate scams. This is a real estate scam. Real estate scams involve grant deeds and deeds.
The city attorney ruled that it's out of order, Mr. Sachs. Sergeant. I know you're disrupting the meeting, Mr. Sachs. Please. Because you're not talking about the subject. You got to talk about the subject. So look at the agenda, and when I call you, come up better prepared. You're usually not like that.
Police agency that deals with real estate fraud, right? Your city website lists the Ontario Airport as belonging, the deed belongs to the city of LA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. That completed your time.
For the record, that was a tangential relationship at best.
For the record, tangential. That's it, Mr. Sachs. No more. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, we should first vote on this item.
Let's vote on it. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Good. All right, Arnold Sachs.
Item 22, called special for cards.
You want to talk about 22, Arnold?
Yeah, why not? We can make a relationship out of that.
You got 1 minute left, Arnold.
No, sir. Thank you. It's tough to talk about real estate fraud when you don't want to have real estate fraud introduced as real estate fraud.
He is not talking about this item.
AB 1290. Here we are. AB 1290. $51,000 to paint a boatyard. $25,000 for affordable housing yesterday. What's wrong with that equation? Again, AB 1290 funding that comes from the state. It goes to the city council office to be used as they want, in their perspective. This is money. You just had neighborhood council empowerment. This is money that should be directed to the neighborhood council empowerment. Unfortunately, that ordinance is tied up with the city attorney's office. City attorney's office, can you deal with that, sir?
He is not talking about this item.
Arnold, the city attorney ruled it.
Yeah, I know what the city attorney
Thank
rules.
you. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you. John Walsh, any comment on this? 1 minute, Mr. Walsh.
I want to thank the chair now for doing a great job. Remember, this is Echo Park we're talking about, the boathouse. You can see silent movies from the teens and the 20s that were shot there. Charlie Chaplin, everybody. We need that boathouse fixed. I've lived in this city since 1976. I don't think this, and it's only, we're talking about $24,000. You just gave $3 million to somebody who was beaten up by the cops, and you didn't even mention it. You just gave them $24,000 is not a great deal of money, plus construction maintenance. And remember, what we're talking about here is these are redevelopment, old redevelopment projects. Now we don't have a layer of government between the money and the city. So we're saving thousands and thousands of dollars by removing the CRA from this. The money, I can't wait to see the new boathouse. I love this city, HollywoodHighlands.org.
That's a great comment they made, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Al-Qaeda? Juan?
Did you call me Al-Qaeda? That's pretty cool. That's really cool. You called me Al-Qaeda. That's okay. I don't mind being
Al-Qaeda,
a good terrorist. Anyway, yeah, this is cool. A new boathouse. Well, what about making some housing for the homeless near this boathouse? Wouldn't that be cool? Instead of having an empty boathouse, have it full of homeless people? It would be cool.
All right, that completes comment. No other cards. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. Yeah, we're out of ayes.
25 is complete. All right, Mr. Clerk, what's before us?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
The desk is clear.
Any announcements? Announcements. October 17th is the City Hall Blood Drive. Save a Life, part of UCLA Day and local government. Special for all of us to support a blood drive on the 17th. No announcements. Any adjourning motions? Mr. Parks, please rise for adjourning motion. Right away. Don't tell Avaca I did it. Mr. Parks.
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Officer James H. Wallace, who was born July 1961, passed away Thursday, October 3rd in Northridge. Officer Wallace was appointed to LAPD in July 1985. He worked the department for over 28 years, began his career at Wilshire area, later transferred to the Topanga Division. Officer Wallace was a man of merit, integrity, and valor. He was awarded the highest honor, the Medal of Valor, in 1992 for his heroism. He's survived by his son Kenji and his domestic partner Raja and his father Oscar and a host of family members. Funeral services will be scheduled today at 11:30 at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills, the Hall of Liberty in Forest Lawn Drive.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'd ask that we adjourn this meeting in memory of George Abrahamian. Mr. Abrahamian was born in 1927 in Armenia and grew up in Iran. In 1946, he moved to London to study engineering at Faraday House, but he needed to return back to Iran when his father died to take over the family business. And in Iran, he was one of the first people who started selling potato chips. He became the potato chip king of Iran. It was a product that they didn't have at that time until he brought it. And then shortly after that, he immigrated to the United States, where he served our country. He spoke 7 languages, so at the height of the Cold War, his services were especially valuable in a field related to intelligence that he never really talked about in great detail, but he served in Germany for 3 years during the Cold War. Then when he came to Los Angeles in 1961, he served in the high-fidelity sound equipment business until he retired when he and his wife Ida opened up La Belle Epoque, which many of us know. Mr. LaBonge, you've been there many times, on Hillhurst, a restaurant that became a neighborhood institution and a great success and a great meeting place for the entire neighborhood. George was a family man, a raconteur, a funny guy, an avid reader, a gourmet cook, and was capable of building just about anything with his hands and spent a lot of time doing exactly that. George leaves his wife Ida, his sons Stephen and Greg, and 5 grandchildren, Robbie, Lexi, Andrew, Milana, and Alina, and his sister Christine. May you rest in peace.
Very nice, and I'd like to second that along with Mitch O'Farrell. We know George. He led the revitalization long before Los Feliz was popular, especially with his restaurant. And it was Bill Bratton's favorite little restaurant when he and his wife Ricky would walk from their home near Western Avenue all the way over Los Feliz there. Members, I'd like to ask we adjourn in memory of Scott Carpenter, the second man in space to orbit the Earth. One of the original 7 members of the astronauts passed away at 88 in Denver. So this completes our meeting today. Go ahead and serve the city well. And for those of you in the 1st District, check out that noise complaint in Elysian Park.